Hello and welcome to the Run Testers. My name's Nick and this is our full review of the Mizuno Neo Vista. The Mizuno Neo Vista is a new shoe from Mizuno. It kind of fits into the category of super trainer in that it has some of the tech and elements of Mizuno's racing shoes, but brought into a shoe that's designed to be used for your everyday training. It costs £150 in the UK or $180 in the US. It weighs in at 259 grams or 9.1 ounces in a UK 8.5, has an 8mm drop and a big stack height of 44.5mm at the heel, 36.5 at the forefoot. Key feature with the shoe is this big midsole, which is obviously a very high stack, and it uses Mizuno's Energy Next NXT foam, which is an EVA foam, but a very bouncy and springy one. You've got a nylon wave plate running through the shoe, which you can see from the underside thanks to this huge cutout you have on the bottom of the shoe, kind of that runs down the center. You've got Mizuno Smooth Speed Assist rocker, which is similar to the rocker you have on things like the Wave Rebellion Pro racing shoe, but with a lesser angle. It's got a 5% angle on this shoe, whereas you look at a racing shoe, I think it's 11% on the Wave Rebellion Pro, which creates a less aggressive ride and slightly smoother rolling through rather than that very aggressive rocker you have on the racing shoe. As mentioned, there is a huge cutout on the bottom of the shoe, but aside from that cutout, you do have pretty good rubber coverage on the outsole of the shoe there. And then you have a booty knit upper with an integrated tongue, pretty high heel tab here, and there's a little bit of reinforcement at the heel for stability, but generally you've got quite a relaxed booty style fit here with the kind of high collar and a heel tab, like I say. Tom has joined me now to talk about the fit of the shoe. Tom, the Neo Vista, any thoughts on fit?
I found it to be quite comfortable. I think there is a bit of extra space in the forefoot, more than I'd normally find with a shoe in my UK size 8. Didn't have an issue with it. I always find with these booty uppers, I'm not a big fan of them really. I find them, they're nice and comfy when you put them on, but when you're running fast and turning corners and things, it doesn't seem to have the sort of the structure that I'd like from a faster paced shoe, but I would stick to my size in this shoe.
So even though, so you're saying go to your normal size?
It's a tricky one because I think I found it very comfortable. There's probably about a thumb's width in front of my toe, which most people would go for anyway, so I would say stick to my size in it, but I did find it a little bit longer than some of the normal size 8s that I'd have.
Cool. I've actually got a half size down here because I spoke to Mizuno, and so the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro 2 is meant to fit small, and I have that in my normal size, so I went for a half size down in this because it has a more regular fit. I kind of have two normal sizes at this point, which is a US 9.5 and a US 10, and how those scale across to the UK is how I determine it. But yeah, so I think I'm pretty much on the barrier between two sizes, and I've got a really good fit by going for the smaller of those two sizes. So if you're in a similar situation, that's what I do. But broadly speaking, I think it is a pretty normal fitting shoe overall. I don't love the booty upper either. Like, I find it just a bit kind of cloying slightly. I don't think it's particularly thick material. It doesn't feel like my foot's running warm, but if I'm going to try and run fast, it just feels like it gives the impression of a like easy day shoe to me, a slow day shoe. And actually this is a lot more versatile underfoot than that. So I'm not a huge fan of the upper, but it hasn't been too bad for me. I've not any hot spots or rubbing or anything like that. But yeah, I was okay in the smaller of my two regular sizes, I guess is how I'd put it. Right, run test, Tom. Neo Vista. Both big fans of this shoe, right?
I absolutely love this shoe. I was hoping I was going to... I saw, because quite a lot of sort of influencer types and of people got this before we did, and everyone was saying it was amazing, but there weren't any reviews out. So I was a bit worried that the general consensus of it was probably not accurate because, you know, if we see a lot of these sort of promotion before we get the shoe, it's sometimes not a good thing. But when I got it, I just absolutely love it. I think it's just it's the sort of shoe that I love because it's bouncy and it's soft and it's fun to run in, but it's also nice and versatile as well. I can really pick up the pace in this shoe quite nicely. So I haven't been doing any major sessions in this. I've been a bit lazy since Boston Marathon. So yeah, the best I could do at the moment is going out for like 10Ks and stuff. But I have done a couple of like fartleks and stuff in it, but nothing too major. I've not been down the track in this. But I've absolutely loved it for all of it. I just think it's a really comfortable, fun, great shoe that ticks up all those daily miles, but also you can do a lot more in it as well. It's just, I'm very much enjoying it.
Yeah, same. I think it's fantastic. It's a really versatile shoe, like Tom says. It's in this plated super trainer category, and it really lives up to that billing for me in that it does do everything pretty well. It's got it's quite a mellow bouncy ride. Like it's bouncy and fun, but it's really chilled. It's not like it's like pushing you along too much. I think the angle is what Mizuno talks a lot about, isn't it, with their kind of rocker, the angle of it, and how much the angle's muted a bit or lesser than it is with something like the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro, which is phenomenally bouncy but really aggressive. This is very bouncy but kind of mellow. You can just chill out and run very slow in this. I've done a couple of really long progression runs in it, or no, one long one and one normal one, where I just started out real shuffle pace, just mooching along, just gradually building and going through the gears, and it handles all of it really well. I have been down the track in it as well, and did a session doing 5 times 1k reps, 5 400s, and the Ks were alternating 310, 330, so that's kind of 5k pace, marathon pace. And yeah, I was surprised how good it felt. Like I said, I don't love the feel of the upper when running fast. It's even on the track, you don't really get any instability because you're just running around gentle curves, but it doesn't feel like a fast upper. But the shoe underneath felt fast enough. You can turn your feet over well. You've got a lot of bounce. It has that sensation where it feels, I think, really bouncy, really fun at slow speeds, and then when you go to faster speeds, it firms up that little bit, so you're not kind of losing energy in the kind of softness and bounciness. It really compresses and bounces you along quite nicely, and I do think it's got quite a nice amount of punch for faster runs from the plate and the foams combo. And the other thing I found with it as well is on the longer run, the bounce doesn't go away. It's not one of these shoes that feels amazing, and then 10k, 12k in, it starts to just feel a bit more normal. I was really noticing all the way through like a 22k run I did it, that just the bounce was always there, really present and just very enjoyable. I think the only thing that's gone wrong for me the whole time I've had the shoe was I did get a stone caught in the big kind of canyon you have underneath, but it's not necessarily, I've used it on trails a fair bit. I think it can handle them perfectly fine because I think it's quite stable for its size actually, but yeah, you will pick up stones. But so I do think it's in this category, I think quite often we hear super trainer and we're really excited, and then the shoe comes in and it's not very versatile. It's kind of only really good for one thing or something. This actually really is really versatile and lives up to that billing a lot, I think.
Yeah, I do think there's probably a side to it which is some people probably won't like this slightly softer midsole. I obviously do love it. Any midsole that's squishy and bouncy, I'm obsessed with. So I think it works really well for that. It's definitely veered more towards when I first did a couple of runs in it, I was doing easy runs in it, and it just felt like an easy run shoe. I wasn't expecting any more from it, but then when you do pick up the pace, you realise that there's a lot more to it. But I think it does veer towards that side of the spectrum from a sort of experience and a feel way. You're not going to get this shoe and go, right, it's definitely a fast-paced speed shoe. You're gonna think it's a comfortable daily shoe first, and realise that you can go faster in it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel aggressive. It doesn't feel like it's really pushing you forward. I guess something like the Wave Rebellion Flash 2, we haven't tested that, but that's the kind of next step up towards the Pro from Mizuno, and there's a few levels there. But yeah, this feels more in the daily trainer vibe. Like, I took it down the track. I enjoyed it down the track. It can do that. That probably wouldn't be the kind of speed session I do a lot of in it, because I just prefer like a slightly more aggressive feel for that. But, and then this is the kind of shoe I do a lot of progression runs in, tempo runs, does those really nicely. Like, it is soft and bouncy. Like, I'm kind of come and go on soft and bouncy, but this is the right level of bounce where it's not sapping, it's not, you're not sinking in, and just that energy is being dispersed into the massive outsole, or massive midsole. It really does spring back quite nicely. And I think we'll talk of this. This is an EVA foam, right, in the Neo Vista, and it's it just shows you that you get a little bit too caught up on the tags of what the foam is in shoes, because what's here is a very bouncy, very modern feeling foam, and people go EVA, it can't be any good, but no, it does feel really good underfoot, and not really had any qualms about it. Like, I think I've enjoyed using it for everything. I think there are some super trainers out there that do have more of a pacey edge for those fast workouts, but I think at the other end of the scale, your general daily runs, I don't think there's a super trainer that feels more comfortable and enjoyable than this, really.
I agree.
Right, verdict on the shoe. Obviously, this is a very competitive area. Lots of very good super trainers out there. How do you think the Neo Vista sets against them? Or would you have it more in the daily trainer category of kind of cushion shoes?
I think it's a triumph for Mizuno. I think.
But you hate the Triumph, Tom, famously.
not the Triumph 22. It's definitely not Triumph 22. I think it's a fantastic shoe for Mizuno. I think it's really, it's a shoe that I think most people are going to really, really enjoy. Doesn't skew towards any sort of type of runner. It's really just a great value, because the price is fantastic. £150 in the UK is mad for a super trainer these days. That is really, really good. So yeah, I just think it's. I think for some people it'll fit into rotation as sort of the fun faster pace, longer run shoe. For some people, it would be the perfect shoe that they could use for everything. You could race in this shoe, I think, quite comfortably and really have a good time doing it. I think I could run a marathon this year and have a nice time doing it. So I think it's a catch-all shoe that for most runners is going to be really enjoyable and worth getting.
Yeah, I think this is the shoe that probably will really put Mizuno a bit more firmly back in the centre of people's minds, because the Wave Rebellion Pro is a really good shoe, a really good racing shoe, but it's a crazy shoe, and it's a shoe that won't work for all running styles, and it feels very aggressive, and even the marketing is very pointed towards certain types of runners and that kind of thing, whereas this does feel very welcoming, fun to pull on, whether you're shuffling along at a really easy pace or you're moving through the gears, working a bit harder, running fast. It's a really good daily. It really hits that daily trainer sweet spot that we like. We've got a cushion shoe that's comfortable but still pretty light, got enough bounce, can move fast. I think it goes right up against the best shoes in this category. I think whether you're looking at other shoes around here, so there are obviously greats in this category. The Saucony Endorphin Speed 4, I think it's probably got a slightly firmer feel. That the rocker's a bit more kind of pointed. I think you get a bit more punch for speedier runs, but I do think the Mizuno is a bit more comfy for easy runs, relaxed runs. And it's got a lot more kind of forefoot comfort, I'd say, as well for me as I snap through from my heel. And then there are things like, we haven't tested the new Magic Speed, but Magic Speed 3 was very much an all-out, almost racing shoe for a super trainer. There's the Puma Deviate Nitro 3 we're just testing, which I think the Mizuno beats kind of on every count for me. I think it's lighter, comfier, bouncier, softer. I think Deviate Nitro is 3 is kind of the classic example of a really good shoe that's versatile, but now is just blown out of the water by a shoe like this that just feels a bit more kind of modern and exciting in all levels. And then there's the AS Boston 12, which I'm a big fan of. Again, that feels a bit faster and feels lighter, even though they're almost exactly the same weight, but it feels a bit more aggressive for short reps and a bit more narrow and stripped down, but Mizuno has the edge for comfort. So I do think it is right up there in the super trainer category for me, Tom.
Yeah, it is right up there. I would say that I think when you put it on and go for a run in it, when I first tried this, I didn't really know a lot about this shoe. I just knew that a lot of people were posting about it, and I wasn't entirely sure if it was a super trainer. I actually went out for a run in it before I'd really checked what it was, and I didn't think when I first went out in it that it felt like a super trainer, as many of the super trainers that we test out feels more like that sort of daily shoe. Where if you just said to me, no, it's not a super trainer, it's just a comfortable daily shoe, I'd be like, oh, brilliant, it's just really versatile. But when you actually compare it with a lot of those shoes out there at the moment, it's definitely not as aggressive. It's definitely more sits in that sort of catch-all bracket of doing lots of different things. It reminds me a little bit of, and some people probably not like this comparison, but the original Nova Blast, which for me, I got a similar feel from it the first time I went running it. It was just a bit soft and comfortable and nice daily shoe, but also had the nice little bit of bounce in it from the midsole foam. I would say that the plate in this is probably not as noticeable as in a lot of super shoes.
That kind of plastic plate, I think that's in a good way. I think it's probably doing a bit of its work under the hood, like just stabilising that bouncy foam. It does work quite well for that. And I do think we probably mentioned it. I think this is pretty stable, actually, for a very high stack shoe. I've taken it, on pretty narrow stuff, some trails, and there is the big canyon there, but I didn't really have any stability concerns myself. I don't know about you, Tom.
No, I think the way that the midsole is built, because you've got this sort of big gap in the middle and then these bits at the side, I think it does give it a nice bit of wide stability in the right area. The only bit when it comes to stability for me is that upper, because if you're turning around too quickly and things like that, your foot does move about a bit more in it, but it's not the shoe, it's the upper that does that to me. But other than that, no, I found it to be a very stable, comfortable shoe considering the height.
Yeah, I think the other shoe to compare it to is probably the New Balance SC Trainer V2, which I think has that canyon, has a very similar all-round look and setup to this shoe, but I think the Mizuno does what the SC Trainer was trying to do. I found that shoe quite slovenly at faster paces. I didn't really love going far. I went down the track in that shoe as well and did a session, and just didn't feel like good for that. It felt much more daily trainery, and I suppose, like you say, the Mizuno is kind of going for that daily trainery with a plate, but I think it is in the super trainer category as that kind of more mellow end of it, where you've got the more aggressive ones further up maybe, but this can do a bit of everything whilst having that enjoyable mellow ride for long and easy runs.
Thumbs up for the Neo Vista.
Big thumbs up, although we'd probably go for a regular upper next time.